Jeremy Clarkson bought 1,000 acres of Oxfordshire farmland in 2019 for roughly £4.25 million. Year 1 profit, £144. Year 2, a loss of £5,000. Sans. Today, that same land is valued at £13.5 million, with a brewery alongside it worth £75 million more. The people who laughed at him in 2019 are not laughing now. But here is what makes this story genuinely remarkable. The farm itself still barely breaks even. The fields still flood, the weather still ruins harvests. The West Oxfordshire District Council still refuses planning applications with the cheerful consistency of a department that has never been asked to explain itself. None of that has changed. What changed is what Clarkson built around the farm. And what he built around it is one of the most quietly brilliant business structures in modern British agriculture. To understand why, you have to go back to the actual reason Clarkson bought the land in the first place. He wrote about it openly in the Times in 2021. Agricultural property relief, he explained, was the critical thing. Under British tax law at the time, farmland passed to your heirs entirely free of inheritance tax. Not at a reduced rate. Free. Buy land, watch it appreciate, and when you die, the government receives nothing. He called it the best investment available to any British subject. He was not wrong. The £4.25 million he paid in 2019 is now conservatively valued at £13.5 million, more than tripled, before counting a single pound generated by anything built on top of it. But owning land and farming it profitably are two entirely different things. Clarkson's farm, which launched on Amazon Prime Video in 2021, documented this in real time. The harvest was difficult, the margins were brutal. The commodity markets that buy British barley are not interested in your television audience or your planning battles or your cheerful incompetence on camera. They pay what they pay and no more. Clarkson found himself with grain he could barely sell at a price that made the operation worthwhile. So he made beer instead. The first name he proposed was Lager Face. His team declined to proceed. The recipe went through multiple iterations, including a blind taste test that did not go as planned. But by 2021, Hawkstone Lager was on the shelves of the Diddley Squat farm shop in Chadlington, made from summer barley grown on his own land in the Cotswold Hills of Oxfordshire. The brewing industry was not especially concerned. Celebrity alcohol brands follow a predictable path. A famous name licenses itself to an existing company, appears at a few launches, collects a percentage, and moves on. The industry has been managing these arrangements for decades. They knew exactly how to handle it. What they had not anticipated was that Clarkson was not doing a licensing arrangement. He was building a brewery. Hawkstone was established with the existing Cotswold Brewing Company, founded by Emma and Rick Keane, and renamed entirely in 2022. The managing director brought in was Owen Jenkins, former executive at C&C Group, the company behind Magna's and Tennant's. These are not celebrity project credentials. These are serious industry credentials. Heineken took a minority stake and helped push the brand into over 2,000 pubs across Britain. The barley comes from Diddley Squat and neighbouring farms within a few miles of Chadlington, not from wherever happens to be cheapest that quarter. The financial results are not the kind of numbers you associate with a hobby. In the year ending March 2024, Hawkstone posted revenue of £7.8 million, representing growth of 143% over the prior year. In the year ending March 2025, revenue reached £21.3 million, nearly tripling in a single 12-month period. The company's equity jumped from £432,000 to over £3 million. The three-year compound annual growth rate sits at 142.88%. The Sunday Times named Hawkstone the 23rd fastest-growing private company in Britain in 2025 and the fastest-growing beer brand in the country. It is now stocked in Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Ocado and Majestic Wine and poured in over 2,000 pubs nationwide. In February 2026, European distribution launched in France, Italy and the Netherlands. A major brewery reportedly made a private acquisition approach. Clarkson declined within 24 hours. Without the local sourcing, without the Oxfordshire barley and the Cotswold farmers, without the transparent production the television show documents in real time, Hawkstone is just another lager. The business model is the brand. They are inseparable. The big breweries understood finally that they were not dealing with a licensing arrangement. They were dealing with a vertically integrated agricultural enterprise that had turned provenance into competitive advantage. The television show sits beneath all of this like a foundation that costs nothing to maintain. Amazon reportedly pays Clarkson in the region of £10 million per year across his programming deals. Clarkson's Farm became Prime Video's most watched British original series, with 5 seasons completed and a 6th commissioned. Every tractor breakdown that costs money on the farming side earns multiples of that loss on the television side. The council's enforcement notices became storylines. The planning refusals became dramatic arcs watched by millions of people in dozens of countries. West Oxfordshire District Council thought they had leverage over a farm shop and a field. They were, in practice, providing unpaid co-writing services on a series that made the farm more famous, with every objection they raised. The farm shop began as a literal shed with some potatoes and a hand-painted sign. Within a year of the first series airing, it had grown from £44,000 in assets to over £1.3 million. Queues stretched for miles along Cotswold's country lanes. People drove for hours to buy a jar of honey at twice the supermarket price, not because they could not find honey elsewhere, but because being there meant being part of something they had been watching on their screens. That feeling cannot be manufactured. The PUB came last. In June 2024, Clarkson bought a former public house called The Windmill in Asthall near Burford in Oxfordshire for under £1 million. It reopened in August 2024 as The Farmer's Dog. British produce only. No imported ingredients, no compromise on sourcing. Clarkson described the logic plainly. The only thing saving him from financial ruin is selling his own Hawkstone beer and cider. The food loses roughly £10 per customer. The beer recovers every penny at full margin with no middleman. The pub now employs 146 people. The farm grows the barley. The brewery makes the beer. The pub pours the pint. The television show documents the entire process and broadcasts it to millions of viewers who drive to the farm, visit the shop and buy the beer. Every element feeds every other. The failure is always the product. The loss leader always has a business plan. Clarkson was sacked by the BBC in 2015 for an incident involving a cold steak. In the space cleared by that disaster, he built a farm now worth £13.5 million, a brewery worth £75 million, a shop turning over more than £1 million annually, and a pub employing 146 people. None of it existed 6 years ago. It was built from a field in the Cotswolds, from a crop nobody wanted to buy, and from a television series that was supposed to be light entertainment about a man failing at farming. The BBC executives who declined to renew his contract are presumably still reflecting on the mathematics of that decision. That is the real story of Clarkson's farm, not the investment thesis, not the brewery valuation, not even the queues stretching along the Oxfordshire country lanes past Chadlington on a Sunday morning. The real story is that a man bought a field, made every possible mistake in it, refused to be embarrassed about any of them, and built something the entire agricultural, brewing and retail industry is now trying to understand simultaneously. The farm left the whole industry behind, and it did it by failing loudly and publicly every single step of the way. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. There is a great deal more to come, and you will not want to miss where it leads.